Hello, one and all. Welcome back to another fantastic edition of the Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast. You know who I am. You know what this is. Right now, I am currently watching a cat in the corner of my eye that is probably trying to drink the lemonade that I have next to my foot. That's part of the reason why I've been away for a while. I've adopted an animal. And it's a ferocious animal. It doesn't know how to behave itself. Stay away from my lemonade, you fuck. And I've also been dealing with other things beyond that. But I do have a big announcement to make that this isn't just another edition of the Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast. This is the final edition of the Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast. And the reason for that being is I'm not going anywhere. I've had a long think. I had a long time to ponder this. And, okay, I guess he wants to be met. This is Joey. This is Joseph. Okay, Joseph. Joseph Exotic. And he's very violent. Despite his cute little fucking round face, he wants to murder me right now. As you see. Go away, Joseph. Okay, there goes the cat. So the reason that I am it was very random, but the reason I am making this the last Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast is because, first of all, that's a fucking mouthful. To have to search and say all of that just to find me, Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast, even the shortened version that I made up for, my listeners, the AGPC, it's still very similar to a lot of other shows. There's a lot of average this and average that. And the thing is, my perspectives, although I am pretty rational when it comes to a lot of things, it's not average. It's really not average. If I were an average person, there's a lot of average people doing this, but not a lot of people that have my perspective on things. So that's part of the reason I'm doing it. And I just think that I need a new format. And with that being said, my new format is going to be mostly the same. I'm going to do podcasts, but I'm also going to do little snippets in regards to popular culture topics. What's happening in the news, what's happening around the world, and that's extremely important now with how everything is going on. What the fuck are you doing, you maniac? It's very important now with everything that's going on in the world, internationally, with the Ukraine situation, us here domestically with inflation and gas. And I don't talk about a lot of those topics purposely because there's already so many people doing it. And I don't feel like I should repeat the same information that you're probably getting somewhere else. But I think I do have a unique perspective, especially being a black man that doesn't toe the black line all the time. That's just not me. I'm from a very urban area, I guess you could say. I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago, very poor neighborhoods, and then eventually moved to the south side of Chicago when I came back to town. And once again, very poor neighborhoods. I know violence and all that shit and drugs and, what what our community is stereotypically known for. I've experienced those things myself. But when I say I don't toe the black line all the time, some of my takes on this shit might surprise you. Juicy Smoulier going to prison, I don't think anybody really has a problem with that. But, something as far as I don't know, critical race theory or voter ID, shit like that. That's current news, like that I wouldn't toe the black party line. And that's something else that I'm going to discuss. So moving forward, this will no longer be called the Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast. It is going to be called something else that I'm going to tell you at the end of this podcast. It will still be available on the same channels throughout, all of the links in the description, on YouTube. Like, share, comment, subscribe. On Spotify, make sure you heart and follow my uploads there as well. And all of my social media. Nothing is going to change on that front, just the name of the podcast. Now, with that out of the way, let's move on to other things. I apologize, had to go away for a little bit there. Forgot to turn my heat off. Yeah, professionalism 101. So if you heard some buzzing during my big announcement, I guess it was all for naught, because it's probably very annoying in your ears. I apologize for that. But during my absence, adopting an animal and dealing with personal family issues, I'm always thinking about things, and I'm always coming up with topics to discuss with you. And one of those topics is just people watching, right? People watching is one of my favorite pastimes. And I know a lot of folks out there can agree with that. It's like watching people is something that we all do in different ways. Whether it be, you know, you're out in public and a fucking park watching people face to face, that way, just tranquil, I guess, and you're just staring creepily at the people that's going by. That's one way to do it. You could go out to bars or clubs with your friends and watch how differently people behave there, especially when they get intoxicated. You know, people are kind of animalistic when that nature comes out of them. It's very strange. Or you can be a highly introverted people watcher, where you're watching people from the comfort of your own home. You're just watching reality television shows. I mean, I'm not sure how much truth you're getting out of that, but it depends on what type of reality show you're watching. Maybe you're watching one of those true crime documentaries where you get to see the seedy underbelly of what people really do and what people really think about, you know? Or if you're watching, I don't know, the fucking Kardashians. That's not all that reality compared to the other stuff. So people watching, we all do it in different ways. And what I've learned about most people is that we watch other people because their lives are not usual. They live unusual lives. Either that, or you're just trying to see how someone else lives their life compared to you, right? And there's layers to that. So you're watching people either to see if they're as normal as you, if you're a normal person, or maybe you're watching to see if they're as abnormal as you. Maybe you're watching to see if, you know, how wild people can get. Or maybe you're just one of those people that has an inner dialogue. Because I do this too. I do this with my friends. Where you have an inner dialogue about some people that you see. And you make up their fucking life on the spot. You don't even know this fucking person. You don't know this person from a hole in the wall. But yet you're making up their entire life story just based on what they look like. You know. Just make them interesting. We're all looking for interesting shit. We're all looking for interesting people. That's why we watch television. That's why we go out and do all these public events and things. You know, we as human beings crave community. And when you live a life every day and you don't have the access to people every day, you know, you want that. It's like you crave that, and it's like a biological trigger, right? So I guess, what the fuck am I trying to say here? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But there's different types of individuals, right? There's people that do, and there's people that react, right? So we're looking for the doers, and we're looking for the people that aren't reactionary. I guess a lot of the content that's popular nowadays are just people doing but reacting, if that makes any sense. The whole new thing about today's content creators and media is just you react. You don't create original content. You react to someone else's original content, and that goes back to the people watching. So like the content creators nowadays, they're just professional people watchers. They're professional content watchers. They're watching something on your behalf, and that's strange, right? And it's very unusual, because I think that's why our content has just become so lax, and we haven't really gotten any new ideas, like as a society. I don't mean we as in you know me and I know you, although I do love you. I do love you very much. I mean, we as a society, think about, when was the last big musical revolution? When did that happen? Grunge? 30 years ago? Hip hop was already a thing. So I can't say it's hip hop, because hip hop has been around. It's just evolved, but it wasn't like a breakthrough. What was the last musical breakthrough? What was the last time you listened to a song and was like, oh, that's different? Or a movie. Every now and again you get something from a Nolan who'll make something like Tenet, which made absolutely no fucking sense. I don't care. You can explain it to me backwards and forwards. That shit is like NFTs to me. I don't know what the fuck that is. It was like, wow, this is eye drugs. Like, man, my eyes are on fucking codeine right now. This is great to look at, but not to understand, because I have no idea what the fuck was going on there. But that's just few and far between. Now even our movies have become kind of lax, stagnated. What do we have? Superhero movies. If we don't have superhero movies, you get your early winter dump of trash movies, and then you got your fucking straight to Netflix movies, and they're becoming kind of formulaic, and then you got your horror movies, which really aren't horror movies nowadays. When was the last great horror genre that you saw? When was the last great horror movie? You got, and what did they just do? They just rebooted Scream. And what is that, a horror movie? It's just, or is that like a slasher? I think there's different genres of that, but you get what I'm saying. Although I do want to say Midnight Mass was excellent. If you haven't seen Midnight Mass on Netflix, I recommend that. That's like, there's some problems with it, like there are problems with most things that try to strive to be different. You can nitpick at, without giving spoilers here, you can nitpick at a lot. Well, not a lot. You can nitpick at some things in that show, but it's definitely true to the horror genre, and it builds up to something. And within the first 2 episodes, you won't know what's going on, but you'll be hooked on how the show is layered and formatted, and how it's formulated, and it makes you relate to these characters. You empathize with the characters. So if you haven't seen Midnight Mass, that's one of the best things I've seen recently. But as I said, that's few and far between. We've become stagnant. And I pledge to do. Of course, I'm also going to react, because that's what you want to know. We react because we're reaching out for a community, right? We do the reacting because we try to find our audience, and our audience is trying to find us, so they don't feel alone, right? So technically we're doing by reacting, But that shouldn't be the bulk of the content, because then it'll be like the Bo Burnham fucking segment on his comedy special, where you're reacting to the reaction of the reacting reactor, you know? And then it's just fucking nuclear, and then we're all dead. And then there's nothing. You know, we're all living inside the metaverse. We're just going to be inside the fucking metaverse. If we're not there already. Maybe we are. Maybe I am in the metaverse. Then it's my fucking problem. Then it's my problem. Everything's so terrible. I created it. This is my simulation. If think about it like this, if we created this, if there is a simulation to be created that can make life undiscernible from what you think you're living, right? And if your life is shit, like you live a shitty life, it's your fault, right? Why did you create such a horrible simulated situation for yourself? Or maybe it's not your creation. Maybe it's our alien overlords. You know, maybe it's machines and they really do want to use us for batteries. Makes no fucking sense. We'll make terrible batteries, but it's neither here nor there. The point I was getting to with the doing and the reacting and, you know, the people watching, the point that I'm getting to is kind of not all that grand, but it's just that normal people fucking bother me. You can be normal. I love you if you're normal. Just don't spend any time around me. Please. Stay the fuck away from me with your normalities and your bland fucking food. I don't want it. I do not want your flavorless fucking fish fries. I don't want, and I think I've said this numerous times, I do not want your small talk. I do not want to know how your vacation to the Alps went. I do not want to know about the mundane details of your boring, normal life. I live my life, and it's not all that fucking exciting. What makes you think I want to know about your boring ass life? Fuck. Like, that's why we do the people watching. That's why we, you know, we watch the content creators that are reactionary, and they do it in a fucking exciting way. Excite me, bitch. Don't just come to me and just fucking plop your sloppy ass regular life in front of me for me to judge, because you really don't want to know the truth anyway. I'm going to say things that are going to hurt your feelings. I try to be nice to people. For the most part, you know, I'll smile and nod, or I'll just look away, look into the distance while they're talking about shit. But not just that normal people, not just that normal people irritate me, because I'm very patient and I'm pretty chill, and I could deal with irritation on any sort of level, just as long as you're not harming me. If you're not trying to cause any harm to me, I could deal with your irritations. But I just don't like you. We're not compatible as people, normal folk. And what I mean by normal people is like, most of the interesting people that I know and that I've ran into in my entire life all battled some sort of adversity. It could be anything, you know, whether you grew up in an untraditional household, whether you went through a time period of your life where you dealt with very challenging situations and circumstances, you know, whatever it is, those are interesting people to me because they have a story to tell. You know, they lived a very unique existence. Maybe they battled with addiction. You know, maybe they were homeless for a period of time. You know, maybe they was a fucking murderer and they've killed people. Right after I listen to their story, I am calling the authorities. But I want to know that story first. What was your technique? Poison? Stabbing? You a shooter? Mass shooter? I do not endorse any of these things, by the way. But you get what I'm saying. People that have a story to tell are much more interesting than people that, you know, come from safe neighborhoods that go to private schools, that have 2-parent households. Like, by all means, that's our goal, us broken people. That's our goal, to try and be normal and normalize our children one of these days. And our children will be the ones that are boring as fuck and normal. That is our goal as broken people, to unbreak the next generation. Fix them. Because we don't want them broken and interesting like us. We want them mundane, boring, going to Ivy League schools and marrying a boring girl or boring boy and having more boring children. And you just you change the direction. That's what we mean in our community when we say we got to break the cycle. Because we're broken, interesting people. We want to make unbroken, normal, boring people for generations to come. So don't get me wrong, normal folks. You're not doing anything incorrect. Your parents did the right thing by raising your boring ass. They did the right thing. And it's a lot of you out there. You're going to have a lot to talk about at your fucking cookouts, or going on your fucking ski trips. I'm going to have a lot to talk about with these other normal, boring people. But me and my friends that I've met, and literally every one of my siblings, we're some interesting fucks, because we're all fucked up. So fucked up. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I think it builds character. The tricky part for all parents that come from these interesting, different backgrounds, that have children, and that you can provide for them, and you do want to provide the most for them. The tricky part is trying to also deliver them some adversity. You want to give them the best things. You want to do for them that, things that weren't done for you. But you also want them to struggle a little bit. And I don't have any children. So this is a question I don't have to address at the moment. I don't know. I might just do what, they did to Leonidas in 300. Just throw the little fuckers out in the cold and tell them to figure it out for a month. I think that'll build some character. I might also go to prison, but we'll get there when we get there. So yeah, that's my take on normal people. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with being normal. Just don't populate the same areas in which I am. And you can, but just don't try to talk to me. I like abnormal people, such as this person that I saw when I was going to McDonald's. Don't fucking judge me, okay? Don't judge me. But I was going to McDonald's. It was one of these rare days where I actually eat breakfast. And I'm rarely ever hungry in the mornings. I usually just get my coffee and start my day. But today I just wanted some slop. I wanted some grounded up fucking raccoon meat. So I went to McDonald's. They have the best there. And I'm in the drive-thru line. And I see this ambulance parked like off to the side, to the right of me. I was like, oh shit, somebody must have choked on one of the fucking beaks that's in the chicken sandwich. I was like, damn, I hope that person's okay. And then I see a old disheveled looking dude. He had like really, he had the hobo look, classic hobo chic, dirty, filthy looking guy, wild gray hair, big bushy gray beard. And he was like slowly, gingerly walking to the ambulance with his cane. And I'm like, oh, okay, at least he can go there and get the fucking help that he needs under his own power. So God bless the guy. I hope the EMTs can take care of him. And I'm just shuffling along in line, waiting my turn to get my slop. And I look back and I see that the hobo fella wasn't getting in the back of the ambulance. He was getting into the driver's side of the ambulance. Mind you, ambulances, I guess, are supposed to be government vehicles, aren't they? Isn't an ambulance a government vehicle? Joey, tell me if... I'm going to treat Joey like he's fucking Jamie on the JRE, but Joey's just useless. He does nothing. He just meows in the background. But yeah. So I think ambulances, they're at least city vehicles, right? They're public vehicles. I didn't think it was legal to own, operate, and drive a vehicle that legit says ambulance. It's shaped like an ambulance, but this hobo got into it and drove away. These are the type of people that I want to meet. Please. And I saw him twice. I saw him again like a couple weeks later. I saw this fucking guy again. I should have just got the fuck out of my car and approached him like, would you mind coming on my podcast, please? I definitely have to know more about you. Tell me everything. Tell me everything. Another thing, and once again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But another thing is I want to make sure that I can do this more often, right? And your support, no matter how many of you there are, no matter, how frequently you watch, means a lot. So if you interact with, my shorts, and not physical shorts that I'm wearing, but the short clips that I put out, I want to put out more. And, maybe I'll up my thing to, not just a few times a week, maybe a few times a day. I do have a 9 to 5, but if it's worth it, you make time for the things that are worth it to you. So moving forward in these podcasts, I'm not going to mention liking and sharing and subscribing. It'll just be a discussion. It'll be a topic. It'll be a discussion. When I do the shorts, that'll be when, I need your action on those. So don't forget, moving forward, that will be the format. And I did all this talking about normal people and people watching and boring people. The name of the new channel, or the new, I guess, extension of me, is going to be called The Normal Procedure. I swear I did not do that on purpose. This was not timed out to be that way. But it's going to be The Normal Procedure. Or, Norm Pro. You can call it that. The NPP, Normal Procedure Podcast. You down with NPP? Yeah, you know me. So that's going to be the name of the next project, The Normal Procedure. Be on the lookout for that. And for everyone that's been on this AGPC journey, I appreciate you. Once again, it's just too fucking long. It's too long. It's too long. And there's too many average people. Like, you go on fucking Spotify right now. I urge you, as you're currently listening to this on whatever platform you're listening to this on, go to your Spotify, type in average, and just see how many people call they shit average. Just look at them. All these average people. Fuck that. I want to be normal. The normal procedure. And I wish I can put normal in quotations marks on the fucking show, because I won't be talking about anything normal from any sort of normal perspective. So it's normal. You know what I mean? And it's normal for the people that are in my community. Meaning my community of my listeners. We will make up the Norm Pro. All right, bye.